Mixtape Podcast.
Yeah, what it do? Mobbing with the crew, nothing new. I thought you knew, thought I was falling off. Blessings keep on falling through. Oh, don't panic, dog. Bro, wait, boo, I can't lose. No, I can't lose. Mobbing with
What's up, everybody? I'm French, the 99% mucus-free co-host.
I don't know if you're 99%, but I'm Joff So Focused, and we would like to welcome you to
Mixtape Podcast.
And if you didn't know, we're a weekly podcast where we cover the most intriguing Knicks news of the week.
If you want to find us on our socials, you could check us out first on Twitter at The Knicks Take.
Then go to YouTube and search Knicks Take videos.
And if you'd rather follow on Instagram, you'll be able to find us at The Knicks Take.
And lastly, on Facebook at Knicks Take Media.
We got the week off to such a great start.
Did we?
And then I felt like the first game, Indiana Pacers, I felt like that was a great way to start the week. RJ, I felt like he broke out of his slump. But before I start spoiling everything, I just want let's get to the lead in. The Pacers came into the game with a two-game win streak against the Jazz and Sixers. 5 of the Pacers wins came in the last 7 games. Malcolm Brogdon was averaging 22.5 points, 7 assists. He just had a triple-double the game before. And the Knicks was coming in on a 2-game losing streak, having losing 5 of their last 7 games. Knicks' record was 7-6 at the time. The Pacers were missing Chris Duarte, and the Knicks did not have Nerlens Noel. And remember, I predicted that we were losing this game because of Miles Turner, right?
Yeah. That's what you said.
And Miles Turner,
I told you
until like the third quarter.
I told you he's not like that. Like, you don't game plan for Miles Turner, but go ahead.
That's what happens when you just do quick predictions on the spot. But like watching this game, I was looking back at it and I'm just like, I'm thinking that the starters seem to be like in the games that matter the most. They playing as hard as they can. They playing against the teams that are actually competitive and actually threat safe, I feel like. But the games against the middle of the pack teams they struggle with, and the Indiana Pacers were one of them. And I felt like coming into this game that we would lose. So looking at the fact that the Pacers were hot and the Knicks didn't hit a 3 until Emmanuel quickly comes into the second quarter, I'm just like, damn, this is going to be a long game. But just like I'm bringing up, IQ coming in and the bench came in and they just brought a whole nother energy to the game that just makes it hard to just ignore. Like, I don't know. What do you think? Like, I feel like the starting 5 need more time to gel, but at the same time, it's like not at the expense of a win and a loss.
I want to save that for after we do the game recaps. I want to save that for later because these games kind of encapsulate the frustration that we have, both in the Pacers game and in the Magic game. And it's something that I think we need to kind of discuss. There's a lot of stuff that when you go to other podcasts and listen, they have their own opinions. When you look at the Twitter, a lot of people have their own opinions. And there's clearly an issue. And we have to kind of figure out whether a change needs to be made or whether we need to just rough it out and try and figure it out. Well, I want to really have that discussion with you after we do the recaps.
Okay. So going back to the second quarter, IQ, the bench come in, bring life to the offense. And the third quarter of doom seemed like it was about to happen again. Because the Pacers got hot, the Knicks didn't get hot, and they were just scoring at will until the point in the game where Kemba gets teed up. And I feel like that's the turning point in the game. That's when the tide started to shift right back to the Knicks because now the crowd is into it. The starters are into it. And IQ comes back into the game, leading a comeback. And in the fourth quarter, the final 7 minutes, the Pacers were held with 0 field goals. They scored only at the free throw line. I'm just like, wow, this is crazy. So, like, I keep bringing up IQ. He had 16 points, 5 rebounds, went 4 for 4 from 3. Obi Toppin has a highlight dunk, it seemed like every single game. And he had 2 this game, including a mean poster. Oh, who was that, Batans? He dunked on him crazy on the baseline. I'm just like, wow. Obi just brings energy to the court, even when he's not scoring. Like, he only had 4 points this game. It wasn't a great stat night, but he still brought life and energy, and now he got the other guys feeling it. Burks came in, locked Malcolm Brogdon down in the fourth quarter. RJ struggled the whole first half, and he was looking like he lost all his confidence. Still persevered, finished the game strong with 12 points, 6 rebounds, going 3 for 7 from 3. That was just a great win to me. I felt like that was a great way to start the week. And then you got Orlando Magic coming up next. I'm thinking, well, that's going to be a clear win. They ready for that. They up for that. They just finished losing. I was just happy with this win. What's your thoughts?
It's weird. This whole week's been weird. I'm going to say that. This week's been weird. I'm an overthinker. Anybody who's been in a relationship with me would say I am an overthinker. I struggle a lot with just accepting face value. Face value, this is a win. Good one. Right? It is. It's a good win. The Pacers, their record does not reflect how good that team is when they are fully healthy. They weren't fully healthy to start the year. They struggled a lot. They didn't have a win in the month of November until what? Two games, 3 games. Like they didn't have a win in November until probably until like a quarter of the way through. They went off on like a 6-game losing streak or something like that. And then they started figuring it out. So the Knicks win against a good Pacers team. I don't want to say good. I don't know what they are yet. But I know that they are not as bad as their record said they were leading up to this game.
They're a good team.
I don't know. I still need to see it. I still need to see more. With that being said, the Knicks have not played the way that we expected them to play. And the Knicks starters in specific have not played up to the ability that we all believe that they can play. And that includes this game against the Pacers. I came out of this game happy with the win, but it didn't answer any questions for me. It didn't answer, what team is this? Which was the title of last week's episode. Was it last week's? Whatever episode it was.
It was last week's.
What team is this? Was last year's team, we're only missing, if you want to include Frank in that, you could say 3 pretty vital players from last year's team. And I
Wasn't
actually no, I'm not even going to say three vital players because Alfred Payton wasn't vital, right? And Frank, you could say he wasn't vital. Frank wasn't vital either. You could say Reggie Bullock was vital because he was there day in, day out. He was the defensive. He represented the defensive identity of the starting lineup. But we could have did without Alfred Payton, and you could say we could have did without Frank Ntilikina. We added Kemba Walker. We added Evan Fournier. And we got guys that we drafted who are waiting in the wings. This starting lineup has shown 5 out of the first 6 games the potential to play very good offensively. I don't think they showed that potential in this game. So, as one of my coworkers says, you take the good, you take the bad, take them both, and what you have, facts of life. This Knicks team is still confusing, and we probably have to wait until halfway through the season to figure out what team is this. It was last year a mirage, or is this little stretch that we're having now where our best player doesn't play like our best player? Is that the norm?
It's too early in the season.
That's what I'm saying. You have to
games.
That's what I'm saying. You have to.
Out.
That's what I'm saying. You have. I'm not jumping out the window. I'm saying we have to wait to get that question answered. I would have liked to have had that question answered this week because we're only talking about 2 games. The third game is not going to be until later today, but we're going to talk about 2 games. The Indiana Pacers, which I was hoping that would answer a question for me, didn't. So I said, okay, maybe this Magic game that happened on the 17th.
We got the win.
2 nights ago.
We got the win.
That's 3 nights ago.
You want to leave the night with most out of everything more than the message. You want to leave with the win. And we got
It's not even about the message. It's about the identity of the team.
But they still
you want the win. But more important than one win out of 82 games is to know that you know what you have. You want to know who you are. Last year, all season, we knew who we were.
Not in the beginning of the year before D Rose. We did
absolutely, we knew who we were because we were shocked.
Yes, it is beginning of the season. You were
offensively, we were still figuring it out. But even when we were figuring it out, we had an offensive system that everybody knew what their role was. We weren't winning 500 basketball. We played 500 basketball at the beginning of the season. Were we surprised at Julius Randle? Yes. Were we surprised that we were in as many games as we were? Yes. But that has nothing to do with whether this team knew what its identity was, offensively and defensively. That was the thing where it's like, yo, Tom Thibodeau, he's making a good thing out of what we had last year, and he's having us play hard every night. He's having us play with an identity on defense and play with an identity on offense. That's why we're playing 500 basketball. And then we went and we did more than what we thought we could do. We thought we were just going to be 500. We were going to play 500. We wanted to get more, and we got what we wanted. But we knew who we were the whole year. We did. We didn't know that we were going to be the 4th seed. We started thinking, damn, we could get 4th seed. And then it's like, we have to get 4th seed at this point. There's no excuse for us not to get 4th seed. But there was never a question as far as what the offensive and defensive identity of the team was. And we took that and we expanded on it to become as good as we did.
But at the same time, you're talking about players who spent more than one season together.
Absolutely.
And if you want to compare it to this season, you got to think about what they looked like in their first season together. And it wasn't what we saw last year, but that's not fair to say because we didn't have Tibbs the year before that. So when you have guys that you have chemistry with, when you have guys that you've been playing together with for more than a season together, Kemba and Fournier only played half a season last season and under another system in another city. And now they're trying to play together in another city with guys who's been together for years. And they're trying to not step on anybody's toes. They're trying not to get the guys that been there and got their own chemistry. They're not trying to get in the way of what they got going on. So they're still trying to figure each other out as a starting 5 unit, including Mitch, because he wasn't playing with anybody for most of the season last year. So he's still trying to get his feet wet. He's still trying to get his body right, or trying to get acclimated to his body now, as well as play at a high level. It's going to take time, and I feel like by the All-Star break, that's when you could evaluate the starting 5 unit as what is it? What's the identity? Because right now they don't have an identity yet. They trying to find it.
I'm gonna agree with you and disagree with you, but mostly agree with you because we are essentially saying the same exact thing, French. This team needs time to find its identity. I was just hoping that we would know what it is by now. Actually, we should know what it is by now because I do think that there is a style of play and there is a certain cohesion that Tom Thibodeau is trying to put into this team that they just aren't picking up yet. I know what it is that they want to do. I know what it is. I know the way that they want to play. And it kind of coincides with the way that they should play, but just aren't. And they have to figure it out. This team does have an identity that they're trying to figure out. There's a style of play that I feel like that it shouldn't take them this long. It shouldn't be that hard, but it is. And that's how it goes sometimes. You put 2 new players, that new coach, new teammates. The only guys that they really know how to play with is each other, and they're not really even doing that. They're not playing. M. Fournier, I don't think that they're really playing together on the court. They're not playing like they played together, right? They're not doing that. So even they are not really taking advantage of their own comfortability with each other.
I feel like they played in Boston. Like I feel like in Boston, it was just everybody take a turn doing ISO.
Right. But that's not how we're playing here in New York.
Exactly my point.
And
which is probably what, we are probably agreeing.
We are agreeing that it's going to take some time. And hopefully they figure it out because it's not just on Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker. It's also on Julius Randle. And it's also on RJ Barrett. I don't think Mitchell Robinson is figuring anything out except for his own self. He doesn't have to change his game. His game stays the same no matter what. He has nothing to figure out, really. If you think about it, the only thing that Mitchell Robinson has to figure out is how to play in this new body of his. He doesn't have to adjust anything. He doesn't have to adapt to anything. The system that we play is catered pretty much to him. Outside, he goes up top, he sets the screen, he comes to the rim. There's nothing different from what he's been doing his entire career. Right. The only difference is he is slower. He doesn't get up as high because he's put on a lot of weight. He's put on a lot of muscle, and he has to figure out his body again. Once he figures out his body again, you're not asking him to do anything differently, except add some more skills to his game, which he has to do regardless of anything. That's it. It's not, Mitch doesn't have much to figure out. He just has to figure out his own self. Everybody else, though, does have to figure things out because Mitch doesn't have to learn nothing new as far as how to play with his teammates. He just has to do Mitch. He has to be the best Mitch he could be, which is always the case. So,
he's been playing pedestrian for a while, though. Like, he has a lot of good moments, but he also has a lot of moments where it's just like, yo, bro, are you going to get yourself into the game?
Bro, we don't know how much of that has to do with him getting into shape and how much of that has to do with him hurting. Because for the past however many games, it's always been, is Mitch going to play? Is he not going to play? He's feeling soreness in his ankle. He's feeling hurt here. Like, we don't know on a game-to-game basis how healthy Mitchell Robinson is. And we've already seen him at this Pacers game. He didn't finish the game. Why? Because he felt soreness in his ankle. Right? So he didn't finish the game because of that. And it was, okay, is Mitch going to play against the Magic or not? Well, he, coming into the 17th in the Garden, Mitch started. Jalen Suggs also made his return to Orlando's lineup. And this is a game that the Knicks came into expecting we expecting anyway, that they're going to come out and they're going to show, all right, that second game that we had in against the Magic at home, we're not going to let the same thing happen again at home, right? We lost the last game. The Magic only had 3 wins for the entire season. They beat the Knicks, they beat the Jazz, and they beat the Timberwolves. That just goes to show what kind of team this Magic team is. They're a young team. They have talent, like we said before. You don't want to lose to this team because of those things, but also you can't take them for granted. Just because their record says this does not mean that they are a team that you can just roll over. And when I'm listening to a lot of podcasts, a lot of tweets, and a lot of people be disappointed, it's understandable because this Knicks team should not lose to this Magic team. But this Knicks team is also figuring shit out. And this Magic team, when they play the way that they played, they are a decent team. They are. They have quality players. And when they do everything the right way, you have to play your best to beat them. You do.
Yeah. They play like a young team that's desperate to figure out how to win, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to get there. They're still young, so they're learning and they're figuring it out, but they play with energy. They play with, like, the coach over there, he got them straightened out. He got them heading down the right path. It's not the typical tanking team that everybody's just out to get theirs. No, they play together as a unit. They play well. They got a good chemistry together. And Jalen Suggs, he made me look bad for saying that he looked like he gonna be a bust, because he came in and lit our ass up with effort and clutch shot making, and that was just that one hurt my stomach. I ain't gonna lie.
So Jalen Suggs didn't really have like a great offensive game either. A lot of the Magic didn't have a great offensive game, but they hit the tough shots that the Knicks did not hit. So I'm going to they made the clutch plays that the Knicks didn't. They didn't. Like, in the first quarter, the first half, really, the Knicks had a lot of silly turnovers. A lot of stepping out of the bounds, or they trying to shoot from the corner 3, stepping out of bounds. A lot of careless turnovers and unforced turnovers. Like the Magic played decent defense, but they didn't play so much defense that the Knicks should have however many turnovers. I think they had 18 turnovers in the game against the Magic. So first quarter, I had to listen to the first half actually, because I was at work. The first quarter was concerning because it didn't seem like the Knicks were playing bad. They were executing their offense, doing what they had to do, playing good on defense, forcing turnovers themselves. But the Magic were still keeping up. I felt like, okay, if the Knicks are playing well, the starters are playing well, the starters come out to play, which it seemed like they did. This should start to look like a little bit of a rout. And for a little bit, the Magic were just keeping up, but the starters started enforcing their will onto the game. They started getting a lead. and then the bench came in, and we have statistically the best bench in the league. The bench came in, and then that lead started evaporating. Bench came in, allowed an 8-0 run by the Magic that gave them the lead. Up until Manuel quickly threw Obi Toppin amazing alley-oop at the end of the first. And then the bench started finding their groove. And then it was started becoming a back and forth. Second quarter started. It was a little bit frustrating because it's like, damn, why can't we just put this team away? Why can't we show that this is who we are? We're not this team that we've been playing. We're the team that started 5-1. We're not the team that has started losing more games than winning them. So at the end of the first half, the Magic just played us right up until the end of the first half, and they took a 1-point lead. 50-49 was the score at halftime. And Mitchell Robinson.
No, go ahead, finish.
Mitchell Robinson was having probably his best game since the first game of the season against the Boston Celtics. He had 8 points, 7 rebounds before the half was even over. And go ahead, French. What were you about to say? That was what?
That shot that Cole Anthony hit to give them the lead at halftime is the point where the butterflies in his stomach started to kick in. I'm just like, shit. It's going to be one of them type of games because now he's in New York. He hit that clutch shot. And now they're going into halftime with momentum. And then the third quarter's going to come. Cole Anthony's going to be aggressive. And I just saw it all flash right in that moment. Mm-hmm. All right, you could continue. Just want to note that my butterflies kind of never, like, once I started feeling like, damn, the Magic are keeping up with us. And there was a stretch where the Knicks went up, however many points, 8 points. They went up. I was like, all right, cool. And the bench is in. All right, the starters did what they had to do. The bench is gonna finish it. And it was like, oh, the Magic ain't going away. The Magic are not going away. Like, oh, okay. This is not good. This is not good because we're playing hard, but we're not playing our best basketball. So this is going to be a game where we're going to have to play our best basketball in order to win. But my butterflies never went away because the Magic never went away. This was a game where the Knicks needed to make a point, make a statement, blow them out by 20 points or whatever. And I knew that wasn't going to happen. Not on this night. So third quarter came, Magic assumed the lead. Everything that you basically kind of alluded to happened. Like, it seemed like, all right, third quarter, the starters are going to come in. The Magic are going to, they have the momentum. The Knicks are not going to play the way that they are capable of playing. And we're going to need the bench to come in, bail us out. Mm-hmm. And that's basically what happened again up until the fourth quarter. The Knicks, to their credit, they never let the Magic blow them like completely out of the water either, right? Which has happened. Like, the starters come in and then the other team goes in a double-digit lead. The Knicks, to their credit, always kept it somewhat close. And Obi just gives life to the game, yo. I swear, it don't matter what the score.
Absolutely.
If you just watch Obi, you're going to start smiling because he just plays every possession with so much, like, go ahead.
Like, Obi comes in and he just gives energy because he is our energy guy. But this was an Alec Burks night.
It was both nights.
Because he can't, because third quarter, the bench came in, and we're going to talk about where the weak link of the bench was a little bit later. But the bench came in, and it was just all night. They weren't doing what they've been doing. It seemed like the bench comes in and it's like they're rolling over too. Burks was missing, Rose was missing, and then the fourth quarter came in and it's like Burks, he saw one go in, mm-hmm. and they just kept going in. He hit a three, he hit a layup, And it was just he hit 4 straight 3-pointers in the fourth quarter. Like everything he threw up just splash.
OB had 2 straight.
Splash.
OB
Right?
had 2 straight threes, one in the corner, one in like the wing 3.
Yep.
That I have no faith in that because he been missing on every 3 he take this season. He been missing them in the clutch.
Yep.
And
RJ was in. RJ seemed to be the leader of the bench unit to start the fourth quarter. He came in. He seemed to be playing off of the energy of the bench.
Mhm.
He scored a lot of his points in that fourth quarter. He assisted Obi Toppin on one of those 3-pointers that gave the Knicks a 5-point lead, brought the Garden to its feet.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like all right, this is where it is. This is the thing. This is the momentum that we've been waiting for this entire game. Maybe now the butterflies that I've been having will completely go away. But
when I say that's the exact thought that I was having in the fourth quarter. Relief.
But the Magic never let that deficit get any bigger than 6. And all they had to do was just keep playing hard and wait for that magic to run out. Alec Burks started missing, and right around the same time that Mitchell Robinson went up for a rebound, fell to the ground, hurt his hip. He grabbed the rebound, passed it out. He did what he was supposed to do, but you could see he was not right a little bit. He seemed to, might have had something contused or something like that. He came out of the game. He never came back. Knicks started turning the ball over. The Knicks lead shrunk, and then eventually there was no lead. Emmanuel Quickly, who had a good game up until this point, had his one turnover of the game at the worst time in the game. Had a bad pass, allowed Terrence Ross to get on a fast break, had a fast break dunk, which gave Magic a 1-point lead.
That hurt me to my stomach, too.
When Mitch went out, I'm trying to remember who subbed in for Mitch. I think Rose subbed in for Mitch. Put Rose subbed in for Toppin. Either way, Mitch went out after RJ Barrett had a beautiful layup. Manuel Quickly again got abused by Franz Wagner off the dribble. Now, let me say this. The reason why I put Rose subbed in, because the lineup at that point was Rose, Quickly, Burks, RJ, Julius Randle. Julius Randle subbed in for Mitch.
Yeah.
And then Rose subbed in for Toppin. So when that happens, RJ scores, and then right back, you got Franz Wagner, you got Cole Anthony, you got Jalen Suggs, you got Mo Bamba, and you got Wendell Carter Jr. I had to look at the heights of these dudes. Mo Bamba is 7 foot, Franz Wagner 6'10", Wendell Carter Jr. 6'10". How tall is Julius Randle?
No.
So, as surprising as it is for me to know that Franz Wagner took Quickly off the dribble, which shouldn't happen, but it did because Franz Wagner plays like he's a small forward in a 6'10" body. He just got to the rim way too easy, and then who does he get met by at the rim? RJ Barrett. That deflated everybody. Everybody.
That one.
Because not only did he poster both Quickly and RJ on that dunk, Quickly also fouled him. So he got 2 points and the foul. And it's like, bro.
I hate when other players come and start screaming in the Garden, yo. I hate it.
It's annoying. It's annoying as hell.
And when I see the Knicks players don't get mad about that shit, I'll be like, yo, bro.
You just want him to punch him in the mouth, right? What you screaming about?
And they mad
Nah.
too. They don't know nothing about the NBA yet. They 20, 19, screaming in the garden.
Oh, man.
Y'all go do
That was deflating. That was deflating. I think right there, that's when I realized that this might not go our way unless some magic happens, no pun intended. But the magic never came. Knicks could not hit a shot. And it was capped off by a bad pass by Derrick Rose, which if you thought that Franz Wagner play was bad, you knew the game was over at this point because the Magic were up 4 points and D Rose does a bad pass, which Jalen Suggs caught, threw a beautiful alley-oop pass to Wendell Carter Jr., which gave the Magic a 6-point lead with 29 seconds left in the game. And essentially the win, because you knew that means that the Knicks needed his chuck, and the Knicks were not hitting the three at any point after Mitchell Robinson went out the game. Those two things didn't come. Like, Mitchell Robinson had no effect on the 3-point shot, but for some reason, Alec Burks started missing. Obi Toppin missed his only miss from three after that happened. Nobody could really hit from three. The only person to score, the last 4 points were scored by R.J. Barrett in this game. And the Magic just couldn't be stopped for whatever reason at the end to end the game. So that D Rose turnover was just D Rose, by the way, he had 5 turnovers in this game, which he's one of the main reasons why we lost this game. You can't turn over the ball that much. You can't. You just can't. He did acknowledge it, but at the same time, like, that was a very big reason as to why we lost this game. It really was. The turnovers and the points off of the turnovers. The Magic only had 12 turnovers. The Knicks had 18. You take away 5 turnovers, that's 13 to 12. That means that you basically matched it. Take away those 5 turnovers from Jalen Rose. The Knicks probably win this game.
Derrick Rose.
Right.
Said Jalen Rose.
Oh. Babe, my fault.
Jalen Rose ain't blue.
Jalen Suggs, Derrick Rose. It happens. Derrick Rose. If you take away those 5 turnovers from Rose, then we're talking about a completely different game, especially that last play. That last play, I just have to question why he was on the court. He 5 turnovers, 10 points on 9 shots. I get it that Derrick Rose has been the guy that we've trusted at the end of the games, but he just didn't have it tonight.
Well,
and neither did Kemba, but quickly, Burks, RJ, Obi, Randall probably should have been the lineup.
But Randall didn't have it either, I felt like. He took some shot from 3. And when you that big and when you could get to the rim at ease, you can score in the paint on that. Bro, this is the Magic. Who on this team could stop him? He was settling for 3. It seemed like him, Rose, these guys were just trying to shoot themselves out the game because they thought they was too good to lose to them twice. That's what it came down to me.
You're right. But Julius Randle shot what from 3?
Let's go.
40%. 4%.
But he still was settling way too much, I felt like.
And he did, because he only took 11 shots.
And 10
that means
from 3.
10 of his shots were from 10 of his 11 shots were threes. So you're absolutely right about that. Excuse me. Yeah, no, I was right. 10 of his 11 shots were from 3, and he went 4 for 10 from 3, which means that the one shot, he was 4 for 11. The one shot he took inside of the 3-point line, he missed. He did not try to get to the paint at all. Part of that has to do with him not being aggressive. Part of that had to do with the Magic. We didn't really discuss it, but they went zone for a lot of this game and kept the Knicks out of the paint. And nobody was really trying to get into the paint until Alec Burks started knocking down the threes, and then he forced them out of that zone.
I'll
Could Julius Randle have taken over at the end of the game when the Magic weren't playing zone like that? Yeah. Could he have brought us the win? Can we blame him? Yeah. But I can at least make an argument as to why Julius Randle is in the game at the end with Mitch out. You don't have, like, didn't have it this game either. He had 3 blocks, but he wasn't scoring. He's not the guy that you put in at the end of the game to stop Mo Bamba, to stop these big guys that they have. Like I would have even had Taj in the game before I put Derrick Rose. I just didn't agree with that specific substitution. That specific one. Julius Randle, I can argue, of course it's in hindsight, but
because Derrick Rose,
he didn't have
the games like that.
He doesn't. But when he has games like that, you have to acknowledge that this is not his game. Quickly had it going. Yeah, he had a turnover, but it was just one turnover for the night. It was a bad one. It was highly unlikely that he would do it again. He had a bad foul. He got abused, but he got abused because he was guarding Franz Wagner, and you have the uber small lineup where the biggest guy on the court for you is shorter than the third biggest guy on the court for them. Like, it's going to happen. So I don't blame Quickly for getting abused by Franz Wagner. I blame that we had no rim protection outside of Julius Randle, who's not a guy who protects the rim all that. He can if he needs to, but the next guy over was R.J. Barrett. R.J. Barrett is going to get abused by Franz Wagner too if he has to rotate, which is what happened. You had no bigs. It sounds like I'm blaming Tom Thibodeau. I'm not really blaming Tom Thibodeau. I'm not really blaming Derrick Rose either. It's just that one move, I feel like if you go for the win, that's not the move that you make at the end of the game. There's a lot of reasons the Knicks lost this game. A lot. But ultimately, they played well. They played well enough that if the Magic played it the way that they had been playing in the beginning of the season, the Magic would have lost this game. I have no doubt about that. The Magic would have lost this game if they played as inconsistently as they played earlier in the season. They would have lost this game. The Knicks did not play as good as they could have, but the Knicks played hard the entire night. It just wasn't one of those things where you felt like, oh, the Knicks aren't playing hard. Maybe some moments in the third quarter, maybe some moments with Julius Randle. But D-Rose didn't have it, and I just question that. Jalen Suggs, 13 points on 12 shots, but had the key shots and the key steal at the end of the game. Played a great game defensively. R.J. Barrett didn't shoot particularly well. I felt like he had a good game. He was the leading scorer for the Knicks, 17 points on 19 shots, yuck, but was the only person to score at the end of the game, right? He also had 9 rebounds and 5 assists and played well defensively. Like, he unlike Julius Randle, R.J. Barrett scored exclusively inside of the line. He did take 7 3-pointers and missed all of them. Mm-hmm. But he took 19 shots. And most of his points came either in the paint or around the paint, came to him, scored. He had a transition basket where he grabbed the rebound, took it all the way, did a little sidestep and got to the rim. He had a nice floater. Like, he did what he needed to do.
If you take away the 7 threes, he went 7 for 12 from the field.
Exactly. If he didn't take a single 3, like, if he had a Ben Simmons game, then he would have had his stats would look a lot better.
I love Ben Simmons on this team.
We know.
Just saying.
Franz Wagner, 16 points, 9 rebounds. Alec Burks had 15 points on 15 shots, but that key stretch in the fourth, that was clutch. That was key. That was what the Knicks needed. Obi Toppin had 14 points in 17 minutes. Again, Obi Toppin didn't need to come out of this game. Like, Derrick Rose came in for Obi. Should have left Obi out there. Maybe if you leave Obi out there, that Franz Wagner bucket that he scored on quickly, maybe that doesn't happen that way. Just say it. Cole Anthony, 15 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. He had himself a night. Mitch, the unsung hero. Nobody's really going to talk about this, but Mitch had 13 points and 11 rebounds. I think this might be his first double-double since like game 2 or 3 of the season. It's probably, I felt like this is one of his best games since the Celtics game. And it was notable that when he went out of the game, that the Knicks really didn't have any answer for the Orlando Magic. So
I'm looking forward to seeing him in this game against Houston. Latest.
is he going to play? Have we confirmed that he's going to play? That's what I'm gonna look it up right now. Matter of fact, Mitchell Robinson status. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see Mitch play as well. The only thing is that he did get hurt. I don't know if that is something that's going to keep him out of this next game. If it was just soreness and they're just trying to be cautious with him.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking forward to see how he plays as well, because it's very clear to me that when Mitchell Robinson plays well, this team plays well. It's also, the same is also true for Julius Randle. And Julius Randle hasn't been playing well. Julius Randle hasn't been playing well at all. There was a point in time where Julius Randle had a stretch of 30-point games where he was reliably scoring 20 points, grabbing rebounds. He was getting close to getting triple doubles on a lot of nights. And we don't see that Julius Randle so far this season. And by now this season, we've had flashes of it. Last season, we've had flashes of Julius Randle. We had a lot less games where we could complain and be like, yeah, Julius is playing like he was the year before. Like, I don't know, we could trade him, da-da-da. But for the most part, it was like, all right, Julius should have shut us up this game. Julius shut us up this game. And then by the time we got to 20, 25 games, it was like,
We had an expectation.
Yeah. And right now, Julius is not playing to that expectation. And even worse, he's playing more so like, he's not playing like he was the year before when we definitely wanted him gone. But he's somewhere in that midpoint.
He's trying really hard to like get it right. That's what makes me fine with what he's been doing, because it seems like 2 years ago, he would just be shooting us out of games. This year, he's setting hard screens. He's trying to get his teammates involved, almost too much so to the point where it gets him out of his own offensive rhythm. And then he has to dedicate a whole quarter to shooting himself back into rhythm. And then now when he gets into the next game, because he noticed that happened in the last game, he's like, all right, I got to start off hot and then pass. But then he starts forcing up shots that aren't good shots, trying to force himself to get into rhythm. That's what I'm starting to notice. And then he's still trying to find a balance of getting teammates involved and playing hard on every single play without getting super tired in the fourth quarter. Like, he looks gassed a lot of times out there too. And that, like, I see him just trying really hard to get things right and get things going to how it was last year. But I'm confident that he'll figure it out. He's too good of a player, and he's accomplished a lot last year. And he's still trying to overcome what happened in the playoffs. It looks like a little bit. But
I mean, a lot of it has to do with that the Atlanta Hawks, they had a game plan for the Knicks in the playoffs, and a lot of teams are using that game plan to stop Julius Randle from getting into the middle of the paint.
That's good, though. It's helping him adjust. He's got to find a way to succeed even through all that. That's what I want.
Correct. But it was a lot easier for them to do that because they knew that Reggie Bullock was not going to shoot off the dribble and Elfrid Payton was not a threat from three. That's why we brought Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier. So
they're going to notice.
Now, Julius has to get to the middle And not saying he needs to stop shooting from three himself, but he has to get to the middle and then get the ball to these guys, and they have to shoot and they have to make the shots. And that is one thing that we're not seeing
Yet. Because I was watching the Evan Fournier's post-game, or not post-game, yesterday after practice, and he was just talking about how because he's not seeing minutes in the fourth quarter, he's going to have to start utilizing the minutes that he does have a lot more effectively. Like, you see how Obi Toppin, whenever he comes in the game, instant, he's running all over the court, expending a lot of energy because he knows he's only going to be playing 10, 14 minutes a game.
Mm-hmm.
If he's playing 30 minutes, who's to say that he could keep up with that same game plan to just keep running all up and down, jumping, hopping everywhere? He ain't going to be able to do that. So if Evan Fournier is expecting to come into every game playing 30 minutes, he's going to be laxed on plays in the first quarter, in the first half. And because he's expecting to play in the fourth. But now he's starting to understand, I can't do that. And we've seen Kemba Walker start games hot in the last couple games because it seems like he understands that in the minutes that he's out there, he has to be Kemba Walker. He has to score, do what he's been effective at doing at his whole career, because in the fourth quarter, it's not guaranteed he's going to come back in. And now Evan Fournier seems to be understanding that. So I'm hoping that the decisions that Tom Thibodeau has been making, where he would keep the bench in the fourth quarter, he would keep the guys who are playing like they give a shit. The starters, they're seeing that, they're noticing that. And they notice that they have to get off to better starts. They have to get clicking on the offensive end as soon as possible, because if you want to play, you're going to have to earn those minutes. It ain't going to just be there just because you got paid a 4-year contract. It ain't going to just be there because you got a reputation of being a great scorer. You have to continuously play with a chip on your shoulder, because you playing in New York now. Every game you go, pick players that come to the Garden, they got this circled on their calendar because they want to play in the Garden and they want to light your ass up on that court, because that's going to be the biggest exposure they're going to get. And if you got this jersey on, you got to play like that every single night, and they're not used to that. And now they're going to have to get used to it and start playing better and have the better chemistry, because when the playoffs come around, I want to see what this team looks like. We saw very early.
I haven't seen anything in regards to Mitchell Robinson being out.
Nerlens
seems like
we coming back.
Well, I hope so, because that would have been helpful. That would have been helpful in the last game if we had Nerlens instead of Derrick Rose. No, Taj is probably still going to see minutes if one of these guys, have to come out or whatever. Taj would be the third.
I'm looking forward to seeing Jericho come back. Jericho is soaking up so much knowledge and information right now on that bench. I want to see what he can do.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised that we didn't see Jericho last night. I mean, not last night, in Wednesday's game. I'm surprised. I'm surprised that I'm happy that Tibbs decided to go small, but I was also surprised because that was not the team to try to go small against. Like, I'm surprised. Like, there's teams that you can go small against, and you should. That was not the time, and that was not the team to do it against. So I was very surprised that Jericho Sims didn't get any burn when Mitch went down. But hey, it is what it is. You had a question for me earlier in regards to the starting lineup, and my answer to that question is
go repeat the question.
You got to keep. You said, what should we do? I think that's what you said. My memory's terrible. What should we do in regards to the starting lineup? You felt like we should wait, but also you didn't know whether maybe infusing some of that bench, one of those guys bringing them onto the starting lineup, maybe that would help You didn't know which way you should go with it.
Well, let me clarify. I think
Uh-huh.
the All-Star break is the time in the year when you should be thinking about making a change to the starting five. And if you've taken the player off the bench to join the starting five, now you're taking something away from the bench.
Best bench in the league.
If you start quickly, you ain't going to see as much quickly and Obi minutes together because they got the best chemistry. You start Burks, like they got chemistry as a unit on that bench. You insert another player that's never been here last year, Evan Fournier, most likely to the bench. Now he has to figure out how to get in his rhythm with an entirely different lineup. They're not used to playing with him. Now that's going to probably, people going to be stepping on each other's toes. So making a lineup change is a drastic decision to make this early in the season to me. If you have dreams of being a deep playoff team.
So someone once said that Julius Randle is our clear number one. And then on any given night, any player from 2 through 10 can be your second best player. I don't think that's wrong. I don't think that that's wrong. I would not be surprised that if Quickly was your second best player. I wouldn't be surprised if Derrick Rose was your second best player. Would not be surprised if Alec Burks was your second best player. I wouldn't be surprised if Nerlens Noel was your second best player. I wouldn't be surprised if Obi, who has been our second best player on a lot of nights.
Yeah, think about where he was at last year with Obi at this point.
Right, especially me. And so you hear me saying that, you know that means something. I've even come around to, because of the way that Obi Toppin has been playing this year, I've come around to being like, maybe we can put Obi at the 3. I've even started giving that some thought because of how well he's been playing this year, both on offense and on defense. And he hasn't even been shooting the 3 ball well. This last game is probably the best he shot 3 all year.
I think something though.
He had 2 threes maybe that he made all year. He made 2 threes last night. So
you saw him knocking that shit down.
I keep saying last night, but yeah. But we're not worried about the 3 from Obi. And he's screening and he's getting to the rim and he's doing the alley-oop dunks. He's doing all of the stuff that we were thinking that we were going to see last year coming out of college. He's doing it this season. And he's routinely been, in the minutes that he's playing, outplaying the guy who's ahead of him in Julius Randle. With that being said, Julius Randle is playing better competition than Obi Toppin has been playing.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing for Emmanuel Quickley. Emmanuel Quickley is not facing the same people that Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier are facing off against. So,
and if you think about it, you don't see any power forward in the NBA coming off the bench that's doing what Obi Toppin's doing, running and how he's running, jumping, how he's jumping. There's not another power forward in the NBA doing that off the bench. So it's a mismatch every single night.
Correct. So I ultimately agree with you. Right now is way too soon to make those types of rotation changes. I still have faith in that starting lineup playing better. But here's the thing. I can see it going either way. I could see us getting to the All-Star break and being like, well, that was a mistake. We should have gone to somebody coming off of the bench or putting Evan Fournier on the bench or something. We should have gone to that a lot sooner. Because now we're midway through the season and now we have to play catch up. And that would be bad.
No.
Or I could see, no, it would be bad. It would be bad because I could see if we're still struggling the way that we're struggling, I could see us being outside of the playoff picture. I could even see us being, French. The Knicks are currently 7th in the Eastern Conference, and that's only because the Cavs slid
games into the season. It's
100%.
still early. Like halfway through the season,
your
guys are gonna have more chemistry. We're gonna understand
so will
strengths and weaknesses.
guys on other teams. Guys are the same thing that we are saying for this team is going to apply to other teams as well.
Last year, we understood which lineups worked the best together by the halfway point. I feel like the same way, even if you're making a starting lineup change, and when you add in the Evan Fournier to the bench, you've had enough time to see what he likes to do, the areas that he likes to score, and you've had enough time to practice with him with different lineups to see who has the best chemistry, who could gel the best. So if you make it that decision halfway through the season, it's not going to be as a dramatic impact on your lineups as it would be at this time of the season. You could do it too early, but halfway through the season, I feel like it's a perfect time to do that. You don't want to be doing that
The Knicks
late in the season, though, like we did with
The Knicks currently are 8-7 for 7th seed. Their last 10 games, they have gone 4-6. The Cleveland Cavaliers, their last 10 games, they've gone 6-4. They're the 8th seed. And the only reason that they're the 8th seed is because they played 2 more games than the Knicks. They're 9-8. The Boston Celtics have 1 more loss than the Knicks. They're 8-8, 500. They are 6-4 in their last 10 games. Milwaukee are 5-5 in their last 10 games. They're 8-8. The Toronto Raptors are also 4-6, but they've also beaten the Knicks. So if there was some sort of tiebreaker situation, the Toronto Raptors would be ahead of us. The Atlanta Hawks beat us in the season series in the playoffs last year. Even though we beat them in the season series,
swept them.
They beat us 4-1 in the playoffs last season. The Indiana Pacers took a game against us this year. So every team from 1 to 13 in the Eastern Conference is a team that is it's not going to be a cakewalk. It's not going to be a cakewalk against any of these teams. The only teams that I didn't list, I didn't list the teams that are above the Knicks right now: Philly, Charlotte, Washington, Chicago, Miami, and Brooklyn. All good teams right now. The only teams I didn't list, one of those teams had beat us twice. And that's the Orlando Magic. And the other team is the Detroit Pistons. Don't sit here and get complacent by saying, don't assume that the Knicks have all this time to figure it out, because if the Knicks keep playing to the standard that they've been playing over the past few weeks, they will find themselves out of the top 10. And now you're playing catch up with a bunch of other good teams in the East. Don't take anything for granted. Don't think that because we're now 7th seed in the 1 week that in 5 games we won't be out of the top 10.
It's one thing to take things for granted, and it's one thing to just completely ignore all the evidence. Mm-hmm. And when you look at this roster, when you look at this coach, and you look at the circumstances of the season so far, there's no way possible that this team doesn't make the playoffs, in my opinion, because of the fact that we have quality players 3 deep at every position. We have a coach who's going to get the best out of his players with enough time.
Mm-hmm.
And you have guys on the team who are hungry to prove it this year, prove something to the NBA, prove something to their peers around the NBA. And they love playing together. We don't have no issues with guys not liking each other or there being some type of drama or anything where guys feel like when Fournier is talking about how he's not playing the 4th, he's not saying it with no hostility. He's a 10-year NBA vet and he's not mad. He's understanding. He's just understanding what he has to do to get better. Kemba, if you watch them in the 4th quarter when they're not playing, they standing on their feet, screaming, running back and forth, hyping up the bench players when they're in the game. There's a different chemistry on this team. There's a different bond within this team. There's a different culture with this team. The C word.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And when you take all that into account,
The other C.
that doesn't follow with the other C word. That doesn't follow with disappointment ever, in my opinion. That I've never seen that before. And yeah, there's talent around the NBA. All that does is make you get to another level to beat that talent. That's what they prove all the time. That's what I see. They get better by playing the best teams.
French, I agree with you. Like, that's why I'm saying, like, yeah, I agree. Like, we should wait. Like, we shouldn't be making that decision this early in the season because of all of the things you just said. All the things you just said is correct. They have all of the little things that make a good team. They have all of the little things that, if you give it enough time, it should bear fruit. It should make us one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference.
Got the recipe.
I'm just saying that I'm not. You say there's no chance. And I am not a no chance person.
Even
I'm not a 100% chance person, and I'm not a 0% chance person. And I'm not even saying like it's close to zero either with this team, because just like you're saying that you don't see all of this stuff happening, I also would not have said, yeah, the Knicks are going to lose twice at home to the worst team in the Eastern Conference before November is even done. I would have never.
Worst team. You got to. Well, it's too early to look at the standings. I feel like you got to look at the standings a quarter way through the season. That's when you have an idea of who's who and what's what.
We're almost at a quarter way through the season, French. A quarter through the season is about 20, 21, 22 games. Not even 22. 20, between 20 and 21. 20 games.
Team in the Eastern Conference is right now? It ain't Orlando. Oh, yeah, it is. I'm bugging. I'm looking at the standings right now, bro. But by the next game, Detroit could be the worst. They're 4-11. The Magic are 4-12. The Magic just play the Brooklyn Nets. Either they just played them or they play them tonight. I don't remember, but that could switch. It could be Detroit on any given night. It could be the Magic on any given night. Either way, they are the worst. They're currently the worst team in the Eastern Conference. And I would have never said that. Regardless of whether they actually are, but they're going to be one of the three worst teams by the end of the season, just because they're going to spend a lot of this year just trying to figure things out because they're so young. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. That you could write that off. Like, you could put that in stone. There's a 95% chance that they're not making the playoffs this year. I could say that confidently. Yo, the East is deep, yo.
Yeah, you just looked at the East. You just looked at it, and that's why I'm trying to tell you, like, you can't take anything for granted. Like, I can see the Knicks missing the playoffs this year. That doesn't mean that they're a bad team. It just means that the time that it's going to take them to figure it out, they could find themselves out of the playoffs. Next year, you'll probably be like, all right, now we figured it out. We don't have to make any big moves. We figured it out at the end of last year. Now we're going to show everybody that these signings were not bad signings. They're good ones. Just like with Julius Randle and Reggie Bullock and all those guys, the guys that we retained after the first year, it looked like, yo, you spent all those money on those guys. It didn't bear fruit until the following season. We could see that again. And that could potentially lead to us not being in the playoffs. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying that us figuring it out might be an issue. They need to try to figure it out quicker, because most of this team isn't new. Most of this team are guys that have been playing together for 2, 3, 4 years. It shouldn't be this drastic, especially after you started off 5-1. It shouldn't be this drastic of a learning curve and learning period. Like, you guys know some of the things that work. You should be incorporating that. And then we should be playing better. The starting lineup should be playing better. Julius Randle specifically. Julius Randle should be specifically playing better because we put pieces around you to play better and you're not. And that, to me, is the most concerning part because regardless of the team chemistry, the Knicks will win if Julius Randle is scoring over 20 points a game. And he is struggling to do that right now. And I'm not entirely sure why, because it's not because of the chemistry. It's his own game partially. He's holding the ball a lot. He's turning the ball over a lot. He's missing shots that he was making last year. He's trying, you're right. But there's just something concerning about Julius Randle's play for me that has a lot to do with why we're losing games. It's not just the chemistry, it's Julius as well.
So let's talk about the games that we got coming up now.
Well, let's do our recap of the predictions because, yeah, I see you tried to skip right over that, bruh. Try to skip right over that. I see you. Listen, Knicks versus Indiana. French said that they would lose by 10 plus. The Knicks won. How much did they win by? I said the Knicks would win by 5+ points. And let's look at the schedule. The Knicks beat the Indiana Pacers by 92-84, more than 5 points, less than 10. My 5+ points was just, you got to just kiss it right up into the sky. That was a great prediction by Josh So Focused. And Knicks versus Orlando Magic, we both predicted the Knicks to win by double digits. And the Knicks actually lost that game, so neither one of us gets any points for that. But I won the overall prediction. So, upcoming games, we already did those predictions last week. We'll re-go over that because, as I said, this episode is probably going to run into when the Rockets game actually happens today at 5 o'clock. French, go ahead.
For the Knicks versus Houston at MSG, I had the Knicks by at least 15. You had the Knicks by 2+.
Yeah, and I said that if the Knicks win 2 games in a row, I don't see them losing against the Rockets, but I was just a little concerned by a potential let-up. Now, the Knicks lost against the Magic, so this 2+ is looking a little shaky. I think that the Knicks are going to come out to play, but I already made my prediction, so I got to stick with it.
And the Rockets been getting smacked by like 30 every game for every game in November.
Yeah, the Rockets are not a good team. The Rockets, I think they only have
14.
Yeah,
That'd be
if the Knicks don't win by 15+, I'm gonna be upset. I'm still thinking they're gonna win, but they have to win by 15+. Knicks at Bulls on the 21st. They're gonna be in Chicago. That's a little scary for me because the Bulls have been playing well. The Knicks beat them the first matchup. I still think that the Knicks have a roster advantage if everybody plays well. But then everybody hasn't been playing well in the starting lineup. So I got the Knicks losing this game by 5.
Okay. I got the Knicks winning this game by at least 5. So we could just shoot over to the Knicks and Lakers on TNT, November 23rd. I got the Knicks winning that game by at least 10 points because the Lakers, I just don't have any faith in them. Their defense sucks. They just finished getting clapped last night. Who they played last night? The Suns? Celtics. Celtics dropped them off by double digits. I see us, taking that win. because they play the Pacers next, and then they're gonna play us.
Yeah, the Lakers
Pistons next. Sorry.
The Lakers are in a similarly confusing stretch. Is LeBron out?
No, he came back. He was playing last night. And AD played. And they gonna be playing against us. And I still got them losing by 10.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. If the Knicks win against the Rockets and then lose to the Bulls. Damn. I wish this team was not so up and down. Cause I wish I could be like, yeah, after a loss, they're gonna come out hard to play and they're gonna come out strong and I wish I could say that. But I really don't know.
You know,
I'm gonna say that the Knicks are gonna win.
This game is on TNT. They're gonna be up for this.
Yeah. But they're gonna be at home. And they're at home. This is the Knicks.
Yeah.
The Knicks gonna be at home, right?
We won it.
I'm not bugging with that.
Yeah, at home. We played Philly on TNT and we smacked them by 20.
Listen, the Knicks are gonna win by
Philly's
3.
better than the Lakers. Knicks
by 3. Knicks by 3 or more. Knicks are gonna play the Suns.
Much. The Lakers suck.
Yeah, but I don't expect that to stay. They got Melo, they got AD, they got LeBron. Knicks versus the Suns all on the 26th. I think that the Suns are going to win by 15 or more.
I said the Suns by 10. No faith in us in this game right here. Suns kicked our ass last year, and it wasn't close. Well, it was close one game at the Garden. But then Chris Paul untucked his jersey and did all that extra shit. So now he got me demoralized personally. I'm never going to bet against the Suns. They got to the finals for a reason. Mikal Bridges over Knox. Yada, yada, yada. Suns fans got it. So let's just skip over to the Hawks because I don't want to talk about the Suns. I'm demoralized.
Yeah, that's another game that we're going to predict only because it's a 6:30 game. There might be some overlap. So, French, you have the Knicks beating the Hawks by 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the Knicks beating Hawks by 10 because they just lost to the Suns. They lost to the Hawks last season. They're going to have figured out this whole zone-ish. They're going to figure everything out. Knicks by 10.
Oh, all right. I hear you. Even though the Hawks beat us in 5.
Yeah, but whatever. They still figuring shit out over there too. All right, Fred, you got anything you want to plug?
I'm ready to unplug early in this day. Hopefully it's nice out. I can get some sun. Yeah, no. I can't get no sun. The game is coming on.
Yeah. You can get some sun before 5 o'clock because that's when the sun goes down anyway. I got nothing. Ain't even no sun. They're like, is there sun? It's not really no sun. All right. I don't got nothing to plug. Once again, y'all, thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for subscribing. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Thank you for listening to
The Mixtape Podcast. Mixtape Podcast.
Peace.
Peace.
The Mixtape Podcast.
That intro music was Broadway Boo by Gotti B, formerly known as Bugatti Blade. You can find us on Twitter at The Knicks Take. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you for listening.